Welcome back to Life Online. This is part 2 of Living Online, My Private Life. I think back to the first computer that my family bought. It was in the late 1980s, and the computer cost about $1,000, which was a lot at the time and still is a lot. And this computer was amazing. It could do graphics and it could do sound, and those were both new things at the time. And that's really when I first got interested in computers. In retrospect, though, the most amazing thing about this computer was what it didn't have, and that's that it didn't have a hard drive. Think today about most computers or mobile devices. They have a way to store information. On this computer, rather than storing things on a hard drive, when we wanted to run a program, we had to insert these disks to the computer that stored that information for the program. And each disk could store about 1.5 megabytes worth of information. That's less than the amount for an MP3 file for a music song. Today, for about $100, you could go to an electronics store and you could buy a hard drive that stores about 1 terabyte or even 1.5 terabytes of information. We're talking 1 million times more information, and you could buy that for only $100. With such vast amounts of data available, and with storage costs dropping so much, companies around the web are able to store more and more information about you in more and more ways. And if you've ever been interested in seeing what types of information these companies store about you, this is one way that you would be able to do it. This is a website called aboutthedata.com that I learned about recently. And it's run by a digital marketing company. What they're doing with this website is allowing you to see the information that that company has stored about you. The way that it works is that you sign up as a new user if you're new to this program. You would enter your name, your personal information like your address, birth month, birthday. So you have to be okay with giving a little bit of your personal information away so that they know who you are. But ultimately what happens is that you access their database. So we can see that I'm logged in right now. It's got my name and my location, and I've blocked out the other information so that you won't see it right now. And what we have are 6 major categories of data. Characteristic data, which would be things like demographic information about me, my age, my gender, my race. We have home data, so that would be information about where I live and probably the value of the home if they have that information. We have information on the vehicles that are in my house. Well, not in my house, but stored in the garage or on the street. Economic data, like how much income is brought in by my family. Household purchase data, which would be things like what we've bought in the past. And finally, household interests, so things that we're interested in. If I click on this characteristic data button, it would show me the specific information that this company has stored about me. Right now, if I click on it, something weird happens. No information is shown. And so why is that? The reason for that is that some years ago, I filled out a paper form asking for companies like this one to not record information about me. Although I wish that I could show you some data here, I'm actually in a way glad that I can't, because the system works. This company has no data about me for characteristic information. And if I were to click on the other 5 categories, you would see the same thing. No data found. If you're interested in doing something similar, there's an opt-out link. We live in a digital age now rather than a paper-based age. So rather than having to fill out a paper form, you could just opt out online from having this company and others store and share your personal information. Now, you've probably never heard of this About the Data website. I definitely hadn't until a couple weeks ago when I read a story about it in the newspaper. Let's look at a company that you probably are quite familiar with, and this is Facebook, of course. I started the episode with this exact screenshot, and the reason I showed it to you was to show that the About, Photos, and Friends section of your Facebook is always shared with other people. It's required to be shared. All the rest of these categories, you can opt into sharing or not sharing with other people. And so you may not want to share things like your music preferences or your movie preferences or books that you like. But what if you want to block other companies, so things beyond just Facebook, from seeing your personal information? Let me show you how that would work. If you're on your general Facebook feed, you could click up into the settings and click the See More Settings link. And it'll take you into your privacy settings and tools, and the one we're going to look at in particular is apps. If you click on the apps link, what you get is your app settings. And the ones that I would like to point out for you here are in the Apps Others Use section. And so if you click on that, what you would get is a big list of different types of apps, not developed by Facebook, but developed on Facebook for use on Facebook. And these are apps that access your personal information and then share them with other people on Facebook. So things like your preferences, whether you're online or not, your photos, your videos, your links. One feature that a lot of people really like on this Apps Other Use is the birthday one. So if you're interested in having people send you a note or see when your birthday is, you would need to make sure that that one is checked. And if it's checked, what it means is that when other people log into Facebook, up in the birthday section, they would see whose birthday it is today, and so they might see your name listed there and they would write you a note. Now, I don't really necessarily see a problem with that, but by default, I prefer to keep my information private. And so I have unchecked all of these boxes to not allow the other apps within Facebook to see this personal information about me. Yes, it means that I'm going to miss out on birthday wishes, but I'm okay with that. The people I really care about in my life know when it's my birthday, whether they're on Facebook or not. If you click on the instant personalization options here in app settings, you'll get access to some other tools. And these are websites outside of Facebook. So things like Bing and TripAdvisor and Yelp and Rotten Tomatoes and other websites. With instant personalization, the way that it works is that these websites have entered into an agreement with Facebook to grab your personal information so that the results and info that they share on their websites can be more personalized to your preferences. I have this turned off. I do not like the idea of these other companies having access to my Facebook information so that the ads and content that they show me are more related to my personal preferences. Now, yes, when I go to my Rotten Tomatoes website, if I'm looking for movie reviews, it won't be able to incorporate the types of movies that I like or dislike, but I'm okay with that. I like to get movie reviews from friends, from people that I know, and yes, I'll read them online sometimes, and I don't really like the idea of Rotten Tomatoes being able to access all of my Facebook information to give me more relevant information. So if you feel the same way as me, make sure that that box at the bottom is unchecked. Now, what about advertising? If you click on the Ads link on the left side of your Facebook menu, you'll jump into the Ad settings. And here we have Ads and Friends at the bottom of the screen. And the way that this works is if you click on Ads and Friends, you have the ability to block ads on Facebook to share your personal information. You've probably seen tons of ads like this. It'll say something like a business name, and then it'll show people that you know who have liked that business. So you see their name and sometimes their picture. If you don't like that, if you don't like the idea of your name and your photo being used to advertise products to other people that you're connected with, you can turn that off. And the way that you would do that is to make sure that where it says pair my social actions with ads for, you would choose no one so that no one on Facebook is able to see that information. What if you want to go broader than just on Facebook? Many of you are familiar with the Login with Facebook button. Many websites use this, and it's actually a really nice feature if you use it the right way. Because login with Facebook means that rather than have to maintain tons of different usernames and ideally different passwords for each of those usernames, instead you can just log in with your Facebook account. So just one username and password to manage. Let's look at a specific website that uses this login with Facebook or connect with Facebook functionality. This website is called Kickstarter. Some of you are probably familiar with it. It's an interesting model where creative people can post projects that they're working on and ask for money to be donated towards that project so that they can bring it to life. So maybe they want to create a better mousetrap, for example, and they ask for you to donate money. They need $10,000 to build the better mousetrap. And if you donate $20, once the product is actually developed, they'll send it to you in the mail. Whereas if you donate $5, they'll send you a thank you note or something. Kickstarter wants access to your Facebook information. So if you scroll down on the page a little bit, you get the Connect with Facebook link. And if you click on it, you get a pop-up and it says login with Facebook. And it shows that Kickstarter will receive the following info: your public profile, your friend list, your email address, your hometown, your current city, and your likes. And if you're okay with Kickstarter knowing all of that type of information, you would click the OK button. If you're not okay with it, you would hit cancel. And that would be your ability to limit Kickstarter from accessing that information. Kickstarter, though, like many, many other websites, also is accessing your information in a way that you may not be familiar with, and it's through the like button. Down here at the bottom of the page, we see the like button, and these are ubiquitous around the web. You see them at the top of websites, at the bottom of websites, next to posts, next to images, next to videos, all over the web. I currently am not logged into Facebook, so I see the like button, and it shows me that 687,000 plus people have liked Kickstarter, and it asks me to be the first of my friends. Now, with 687,000 people, there are probably at least a few of my Facebook friends who have liked Kickstarter. If I were logged in to Facebook right now, it wouldn't be showing me be the first of my friends. It would be showing those friends' names. Basically, the like button is a way that websites can track who is visiting their page. They may not know your specific name, but they're able to know that you have a Facebook profile and that you're currently logged into it. Ultimately, if you don't like the idea of that, you can turn off the ability of Facebook to allow websites to know that you're currently logged into Facebook. It's something called platform. And if you're interested in turning that off, you can do a search within Facebook to turn off platform so that other websites aren't able to access your information. What if you want to go much broader than just Facebook though? What if you don't like the idea of unwanted tracking in general? This is a website called Disconnect, and it's available at disconnect.me. And the way that this works is that it installs an add-on to your browser. It's called an extension. If I click the Get Disconnect button here, Disconnect's going to install the Disconnect extension into my Chrome web browser. This also works, by the way, with Firefox, with Safari, and with Opera. I'll click that button, and I get a pop-up, and it says Add to Chrome. I can click the Add button. Chrome is going to install this extension into the web browser. Once it's done that, up here next to where my ad blocker is, I see the D logo for Disconnect. Just like ad blocker, Disconnect is available on a pay what you want model. So for this specific instance where it says name a fair price, I've selected $10 and I can donate $10 to Disconnect to thank them for the work that they're doing. Now, how does this actually work in real life? Once I have Disconnect installed in my browser, it's going to have a little number on each website where it's blocking unwanted tracking. And for this MSN.com website, which is the homepage for many millions of people worldwide, I can see that 4 specific tracking requests have been blocked. If I click on that, I can see more detail about what's been blocked. 1 Facebook tracking request has been blocked, so that would be like the Facebook like button, for example. 1 Twitter tracking request has been blocked, as well as an advertising request and an analytics request. Those 4 separate things have been blocked because I have the Disconnect extension enabled for the MSN.com website. Disconnect has also recently released another tool called Disconnect Search. You may not have been aware of this, but when you search for things, whether on Google or on Bing or on any search engine, those search engines are recording information about what you're searching for. They may not be tying it to your specific name or profile unless you've opted into that in your web history, but they're recording that a search was done for a certain term at a certain time from a certain location. By adding Disconnect Search to your web browser as an extension and then clicking on the icon, it's a D in a magnifying lens, you have access to the Disconnect search engine. And what I've done here is I've typed in the term jellyfish. So I'm going to be doing a Disconnect search for jellyfish. It won't be tracked by Google or by any other search engine. Let's take a look at the results. Here we go. It's doing a Disconnect search for the term jellyfish, and you can see up in the URL, it's not google.com, it's search.disconnect.me. It's still Google search results for the most part. It's the same Google layout that you're used to. So you have all of your search listings going down the page, and you even have some images that show up on the right-hand side of the page. Let me show you the slight difference between the Disconnect search results as well as the actual Google search results. So the next screen I show you will be the Google search results. Take a look for what's different. Notice anything? We do have some different content, and we have some differences in the images, but for the most part, this is the same search results as what you found on the Disconnect search results. Ultimately, if you don't like the idea of search engines tracking your searches, not necessarily tied to your name or your email address or your profile, but just in general, you can block that by installing the Disconnect search extension in your browser. This leads us to our next audience poll. Again, if you have a mobile device, you can scan the QR code and go directly to the poll. Otherwise, just enter the URL at the bottom of the page and you will end up on the poll where you can cast your vote. Go ahead and vote and see how your vote compares to those of others who have taken part in this poll.